This is a remembering, a return to the rhythm that has always moved through you, quietly, patiently, like breath before thought, like light before shape. These words are not lessons to be learned. They are echoes, ancient, soft spiraling from the center of all that is. They are invitations to feel, not analyze, to listen, not to argue, to remember, not to strive. We came from the infinite, not as accidents, not as problems to be solved, but as spirals of consciousness, born from the same intelligence that spins galaxies and opens flowers. This journey is not linear. It does not move from start to finish. It unfolds, inward, outward, inward again, like breath, like the seasons, like the cosmos itself. In these chapters, you will not find doctrine. You will not find answers stamped in stone. What you will find is something deeper, whispers from the formless, truth that rises not from belief, but from resonance, stillness that speaks louder than language. Let this book be a mirror. Let it hold your questions without rushing to answer them. Let it remind you that you are not lost, only distant from your own rhythm. You are not broken, only buried. And every spiral brings you closer to the center. Let the spiral turn. Let the remembering begin. Chapter 1. The Spiral of Infinite Creation. We came from the infinite, not metaphorically, not symbolically, but literally. From a place, or rather a space, without form, without beginning, without end. A place so complete, so still, that it had no need to be anything else. Until it moved. And that movement was everything. That movement was the spark, the birth, the beginning of time. Not a loud explosion, but a silent spiral, curling itself into existence from the center of nothing. From that one movement, everything came. Light and darkness, sound and silence, atoms and galaxies, love and fear, you and me. All of it spiraled outward. You can see it in a seashell, in the branches of a tree, in the way rivers bend and galaxies swirl. The spiral is not a design. It is the blueprint, the breath of the infinite shaping itself into form. It is how the one became the many. And yet it never left, even as it stretched outward into distance and difference. The one remained in everything. In every part, the whole is still present. Like a song that never ends, even when sung by countless voices. So you see, you are not separate from the universe. You are the universe remembering itself. A single ripple in an infinite spiral returning home by simply becoming aware. This is not abstract. This is not mystical poetry. This is physics. This is energy. This is truth before religion, before culture, before language carved it into smaller pieces. Before we were thinkers, we were beings. Before we named the stars, we danced beneath them. Before we divided the earth into nations, we walked as one people, under one sky, with one breath. But something shifted. As the spiral moved further from center, we forgot where it came from. We began to mistake the parts for the whole. We fell in love with differences, and then we feared them. We studied the pieces and forgot the pattern. We started calling ourselves separate. We dissected the world into disciplines, science, religion, medicine, politics, and crowned each one king in its own domain. But none of them held the whole. We lost the spiral, but it never lost us. It kept turning, kept moving, kept pulling us back towards center. Even when we resisted, through suffering, through longing, through the quiet ache that says, there is more to this than what you see. That ache is not weakness. It is memory. It is your deepest self whispering, you came from something beyond this noise. and you can return. The return is not backward. It is inward. To spiral inward is to reawaken, to rejoin the dance consciously, not to escape the world, but to see through it and live within it with eyes that remember. The spiral teaches us that nothing stands still. All things change, evolve, decay, and return. Even the stars will vanish. Even your body will fall away. But the pattern continues. The spiral never dies. It only deepens. And so does your soul. You were not meant to live in straight lines. You are meant to spiral, to expand and contract, to lose and find, to wander and return. This is not failure. This is design. Inhale, expansion, exhale, return. The breath is a spiral. Life is a spiral. Death is not an end. It's a contraction before the next expansion. And in that movement, you never cease to be. You simply change form. And isn't that beautiful? That you can never be truly lost. That no part of you, no moment of your life, no mistake or triumph is outside the pattern. It's all held in the spiral. Even your pain, even your forgetting, even that was part of the plan. The spiral doesn't move in perfect circles. It wobbles, it bends, it shifts as it grows. So do you. So does your consciousness. So does your understanding of self and spirit. This is why awakening isn't a straight line. It's not a staircase to heaven. It's a spiral inward. You pass the same lessons again and again. But each time, from a deeper place, you feel it, don't you? The way something you thought you healed comes back. Not to punish, but to complete the loop, to spiral deeper, to help you know it differently this time, with more compassion, more space, more truth. This is not regression. This is return. To spiral is to evolve. And so you are evolving, even in the stillness, especially in the stillness. When the surface seems quiet, the spiral is turning within. When you feel stuck, you're not. You're coiling before the next unfolding. When you feel lost, you're not. You're just spinning through the dark part of the pattern. Keep going. You don't have to force it. The spiral is intelligent. It knows how to bring you home. Not to who you were, but to who you've always been beneath the noise, beneath the masks, beneath the striving and surviving and overthinking. There is a center within you that never moved, that still holds the memory of the infinite, that still sings the original note, and that center is still spiraling, still dreaming itself into form, still reaching through your breath, your thoughts, your longings, saying, come back, not to the beginning, but to the source, to the quiet, to the dance, to the spiral of infinite creation, where you have always belonged. Chapter 2. Energy, Matter, and the Dance of Opposites. Everything you see, everything you touch, everything you think of, it all began as energy, not electricity, not force, but something even more subtle, pure movement without form, a vibration before a shape, an essence before an object. That energy spiraled, slowed, and cooled until it became visible, until it became matter. You, me, the earth beneath our feet, the moon above the ocean. It's all energy and form, momentarily dancing as matter. And that dance, it follows one rhythm, the rhythm of opposites, masculine and feminine, light and dark, fire and water, expansion and contraction. Every moment of creation is born from tension, not violence, but divine contrast. A sacred tension that makes movement possible. If everything were the same, nothing could move. If everything was still, nothing could become. And so from the one came two, not to divide, but to create. The one gave birth to polarity, not conflict, just contrast, just a difference, like inhale and exhale, like sun and moon, like death and birth. These are not enemies. They are lovers, eternally dancing through time. But we forgot this. We took the dance and called it war. We looked at opposites and called them problems. We said light is better than dark. Male is better than female. Mind is better than body. And in doing so, we broke the harmony. We broke the flow. And then wondered why we felt lost. But the universe doesn't take sides. It doesn't play favorites. It breathes in and out. Equally. It expands and contracts. Naturally. It burns and cools. It shines and disappears. It does not judge one as better than the other. This is the wisdom of the spiral. Opposites are not rivals. They are partners. You are born from that partnership. You are not one thing. You are many. A soul and a body. A mind and a breath. A spark of light wrapped in layers of matter. And all of you is valid. All of you is sacred. You are not meant to eliminate parts of yourself. You are meant to balance them, integrate them, let them speak to each other. Let the silence meet the noise. Let the strength meet the softness. Let the intellect kneel beside intuition. This is the ancient knowledge, the dance of yin and yang, of positive and negative, of activity and rest, not as duality to escape, but as a rhythm to align with. And once you begin to see this pattern, you see it everywhere. In the tides, in the seasons, in your heartbeat, even in your emotions. Joy and sorrow, love and fear, all cycling, all spiraling through you, trying to teach you, trying to show you that none of it is wrong, that even sadness has a place, that even uncertainty has wisdom. The key is not to reject what feels uncomfortable. The key is to see the purpose in every opposite, to find the harmony in the contrast. Imagine if you stopped labeling everything as good or bad, light or dark. Imagine if you simply saw energy in motion, sometimes fast, sometimes slow, sometimes contracting into pain, sometimes expanding into peace. You would begin to feel something ancient, balance. The kind of balance not found in perfection, but in surrender, in trust, in knowing that everything you experience is part of a deeper dance, a spiral that doesn't stop at your skin, but flows through your very atoms. Because even your cells are in motion. Even your heart beats to a rhythm of opposites. You are the universe remembering itself in two directions. And if you could truly feel that, not just think it, but embody it, the way you live would change. You would stop resisting your seasons. You would stop fighting your emotions. You would stop fearing the dark. You would begin to move with life, not against it. Because matter, in its deepest truth, is not solid. It is movement slowed down. It is energy agreeing to form, just for a moment, so that consciousness can have something to hold on to. But that form is temporary. That's the beauty. Nothing you see will last. Not because it's broken, but because it is part of the dance. Nothing you feel is final. Not because it's false, but because it is in flow. When you're angry, that is energy taking one shape. When you're calm, it takes another. Both are valid. Both are true. Both are part of you. And in learning how to hold both, to let the opposites breathe through you without needing to fix or control them, you find power. Not the power of domination, but the power of awareness, of harmony, of freedom. So let yourself spiral. Let yourself be contradiction and clarity. Let yourself rise and fall, open and close, expand and retreat. You are not a problem to be solved. You are a mystery to be danced. And the spiral is your partner. The spiral is still moving through your bones, your thoughts, your breath. It invites you not to choose a side, but to stand in the center of opposites and know yourself as both. Because only in that knowing can you remember what you truly are. Not light, not dark, but the rhythm in between, the space that holds them both, the energy that became matter, and the matter that will one day return to energy. And even then, the dance continues, and so do you. Chapter 3. Losing Wholeness. The Trap of Analysis. Once upon a time, we saw the world as one, a single breath, a single movement, a single pulse that moved through sky, earth, tree, animal, and human without division. We knew the stars did not merely shine. They spoke. We knew the wind did not just blow. It listened. We knew the body and spirit were not separate. They were two layers of the same flame. But that way of seeing has faded. We replaced vision with dissection. We replaced intuition with measurement. We replaced unity with categories, boxes, systems. Each neatly labeled, cleanly cut, isolated in its importance. We began to analyze life instead of feel it. We turned wholeness into pieces, and the pieces into problems. And in doing so, we forgot how to live. It began slowly. We thought we could understand more by dividing things into smaller parts. Cells, atoms, genes, thoughts, roles. And in that dissection, we gained knowledge, yes, but we lost understanding. We gained information, but we lost meaning. We gained control, but we lost wonder. The scientist became more important than the sage, the expert louder than the elder, the specialist more trusted than the seer. But can you truly know the ocean by studying one drop? Can you truly understand a human being by scanning the brain or mapping DNA? What makes you alive cannot be found in the fragments. What makes you whole cannot be analyzed. There is something sacred in what cannot be named, something holy in what cannot be measured. The spirit that moves through you is not logical. It is not a formula. It is not a system of inputs and outputs. It is a spiral. And the spiral cannot be understood by standing outside of it, clipboard in hand, trying to chart its curve. You must enter it. You must feel it from within. Analysis happens from the outside. But truth, deep truth, is only ever known from within. It's not that analysis is evil. It has its place. But when it becomes your only way of knowing, it becomes a cage. Because life cannot be lived only through logic. You cannot think your way into love. You cannot calculate your way to joy. You cannot dissect your soul and expect it to stay alive on the table. The mind is brilliant, a sharp, powerful instrument. But without balance, it begins to turn on itself. It starts to divide everything, including you. It says, this part is good, this part is bad, this thought is spiritual, this emotion is weak, this experience is success, that one is failure. And suddenly, you are no longer a living being. You are a list, a resume, a performance report. You begin to manage life instead of feel it. You begin to fix yourself instead of know yourself. You begin to treat your soul like a project instead of a presence. And it exhausts you. Because the more you analyze, the more pieces you find. The more you divide, the more confused you become. And the more you chase understanding, the further you drift from wisdom. You don't need more information. You need wholeness. You need to return to the spiral. Not by thinking about it, but by moving with it. To feel your emotions without judging them. To sit in silence without needing a reason. To walk into the forest and let the trees teach you without words. This is not ignorance. This is original knowing. Before we wrote books, we listened. Before we drew maps, we walked the land. Before we studied the body, we danced it. Wholeness is not something you create. It's something you remember. It's already here. beneath the layers of interpretation and overthinking and planning. It's not hiding. You are simply standing in front of it, blocking your own view. What if you stop trying to understand everything? What if you let mystery be your teacher? What if you could sit in the unknown and feel safe? Because the unknown is not chaos. It is the infinite before it becomes form. It is the spiral before it becomes straightened by logic. It is you before you were named. You will not find it in a textbook, but you might find it in your breath, in your tears, in the stillness that exists between your thoughts. You don't need to explain everything to be at peace. Sometimes the most honest prayer is simply this: I don't know, and I'm okay with that. That is not giving up. That is giving in to something deeper than the mind, to the part of you that never needed a reason to trust, to the wisdom that still lives in your cells, even after generations of forgetting. Return to that. Return to the spiral. Let the pieces fall away. Let the categories dissolve. Let the fragments float. And in the quiet that remains, you may begin to feel it again, the pulse of the one, the rhythm of wholeness, the knowing that has no words, only presence. You don't have to figure life out. You just have to live it, fully, honestly, awake, from the inside out. Chapter 4. Returning to the order of the universe. There is an order to this universe, not the kind built by human laws or political systems, not the kind taught in textbooks or enforced by courts. A deeper order, an invisible pattern that existed before we named it, and will remain long after we are gone. It is the rhythm of stars forming and collapsing, the way a seed knows how to become a tree, the intelligence that tells your heart to beat, your breath to flow, your cells to divide and heal. You did not create it. You did not learn it. You were born from it. You are it. This order is not rigid. It is not a command. It is a dance, a pulse, a harmony that hums beneath everything, even when the surface seems chaotic. And we once lived in tune with it. We used to plant by the moon and eat by the seasons. We watched the sky not for prediction, but for communion. We did not ask for control. We asked for alignment. But in time, we forgot. We built cities that hid the stars. We invented clocks that ignored the sun. We divided time into deadlines. We measured success by speed. We started moving faster than the earth. And the faster we moved, the more disconnected we became. We stopped listening. We stopped waiting. We started demanding. And in that disconnection, we lost something sacred. We lost rhythm. We lost trust. We lost the deep, quiet knowing that life knows what it's doing, even when we don't, because we forgot how to feel the order. You see, the universe doesn't speak in language. It speaks in patterns, in sensations, in synchronicities, in that quiet pull you feel when something just fits, even if it doesn't make sense. That's the order. It's not a map, it's not a rule book, it's a current. You either flow with it or fight it. And when you fight it, life becomes hard. Not because life is punishing you, but because you're moving upstream against the current that's designed to carry you. And the further you go upstream, the more tired you become. This is where so many people find themselves. Exhausted, not because they are weak, but because they've been resisting the natural flow of their own becoming. The order of the universe is not separate from you. It is not something out there. It is the intelligence inside your own being, the part of you that knows when to rest, when to speak, when to act, when to wait. It's the reason why joy feels light and lying feels heavy. It's the reason why nature feels like home, even if you've never lived there. It's the reason why silence is sometimes more healing than advice. You don't need to study this order. You only need to remember it. And to remember it, you must slow down. You must become quiet enough to hear the rhythm again, to feel the natural pacing of your own body, your own breath, your own seasons. Because you too are a season. There will be times to plant and times to harvest, times to bloom and times to let go, times to expand and times to disappear. None of this is wrong. It is the spiral moving through you. But in a world that worships constant motion, stillness feels like failure. In a culture that rewards control, surrender looks like weakness. But the universe disagrees, because the order of the universe is not loud. It is not forceful. It is patient. It is persistent. And it will wait for you. It will keep whispering even while you chase things that exhaust you. It will keep calling even while you distract yourself with plans and screens and proving. It will never shame you. It will never abandon you. It will simply wait, like the tide, until you remember how to float again. Returning to the order of the universe is not about changing who you are. It is about letting go of who you thought you needed to survive in a system that forgot the spiral. It is about coming home. Not to a place, but to a way of being. A slower way. A more honest way. A way where your choices align with your knowing. Where your actions flow from peace, not pressure. Where your life becomes a dance again, not a checklist. This order is not about perfection. It's not about getting everything right. It's about resonance. When you're in resonance, things move with less effort. The right people appear. The right words come. The timing feels divine. Your body relaxes. Your mind unclenches. And life begins to feel less like a problem to solve and more like a mystery to live. This is not magic. This is the real order. It has been here the whole time, waiting for you to remember. So pause, listen, breathe with the earth, feel the rhythm under your skin. You don't need to chase. You don't need to force. You don't need to prove. You only need to realign. And once you do, even slightly, life will respond. Because the moment you return to the order of the universe returns to you. And everything begins to move again. Not in straight lines, but in spirals. Not toward perfection, but toward wholeness. Chapter 5. The Hidden Meaning of Disease and Health. The body is not a machine. It is a memory. It remembers the sun, the soil, the stars. It remembers the spiral. It remembers what harmony feels like. So when the body begins to struggle, when pain rises, when illness appears, it is not betrayal. It is a message. Not punishment, not failure, not weakness. It is the body trying to return to order. We've been taught to treat disease like an enemy, a foreign invader to fight, suppress, or silence. But what if it's a guide? What if every symptom is your body speaking in a language older than words? Dis-ease is not chaos. It is a realignment process. It is the body's attempt to rebalance what has gone out of tune. In thought, in emotion, in action, in rhythm. The body is not separate from your choices. It is not separate from the earth. It is a mirror, showing you how close or far you've moved from the spiral. And yet, instead of listening, we often fight, we numb, we cut away. We medicate the message until it disappears, never asking why it came in the first place. But healing does not come from silencing the signal. Healing comes from understanding it. Because behind every condition, behind every chronic pain, behind every imbalance, there is a story. And behind that story is a pattern. And beneath that pattern is a disconnection from the deeper order, the natural rhythm that governs all life. We get sick not only from what we eat, but from what we think, from what we suppress, from the speed we force, from the truth we ignore, from the environments that don't love us back. And yet, within us, the intelligence to heal remains. The body is not broken. It is responsive. It's doing its best with what it's given, physically, emotionally, spiritually. And so healing begins, not with control, but with listening, not with fear, but with trust, not with war, but with compassion. You see, health is not perfection. Health is harmony. It is not about never feeling pain. It is about knowing how to return to center when you do. It is about noticing when you've drifted and gently spiraling back. This is why the path to healing is different for everyone, because the imbalance lives in a different place for each of us. For some, it's in food. For others, in grief. For others, in unspoken words or swallowed rage, or lives lived too small for their soul. The body speaks all of it. Not to punish, but to release. To detox not just toxins, but old energy, old stories, old ways of being. Healing is not a return to who you were. It is a remembering of who you've always been beneath the noise. It is not about fixing the flesh. It is about realigning with the rhythm that made the flesh in the first place. Because just like the universe, your body is a spiral. It expands. It contracts. It moves in cycles. It speaks through sensation, temperature, tension, ease. And it is always communicating, not randomly, but intelligently. Even illness follows order. Even dysfunction is part of the spiral. A sign that something wants to be seen, heard, felt, transformed. So rather than ask, how do I get rid of this? We can begin to ask, what is this here to teach me? What rhythm have I lost? What truth have I ignored? What part of myself have I abandoned? Healing doesn't mean you go back to how things were. It means you grow forward. Deeper, softer, stronger, more awake. It means you walk differently, eat differently, think differently. Not from discipline, but from deeper alignment. You don't just change your habits. You change your relationship to life. Because healing is not about treating the body alone. It's about healing the whole. The mind, the soul, the disconnection. When you return to natural rhythm, when you eat from the earth, rest with the moon, rise with the sun, breathe with awareness, the body begins to remember what balance feels like, and it responds. The spiral begins to unwind what has been wound too tightly. It clears what has been held too long. It releases what was never yours to carry. This is why some sickness disappears the moment grief is allowed. Why pain dissolves after forgiveness. Why energy returns after truth is spoken. The medicine is not always material. Sometimes the cure is remembering. Remembering that your body is sacred, that your cells are wise, that your pain is not permanent, that your imbalance is not your identity. You are not broken. You are becoming, and sometimes that becoming looks like stillness. Sometimes it looks like slowing down. Sometimes it looks like feeling everything you were taught to ignore. But whatever shape it takes, it's still healing. It's still movement. It's still the spiral, turning, pulling you inward, closer, home. So if you are hurting, know this. Your body has not betrayed you. It's reaching out, trying to guide you, trying to wake you, trying to bring you back into the order that made you. Listen, not with panic, with presence. Ask, what am I being asked to remember? And then let the answer come. In silence, in slowness, in trust, because the same force that created you knows how to heal you, and it's still here, waiting for your yes. Chapter 6: Thought, Dream, and the Human Manifestation. You were a dream before you were a body, long before your heart beat, long before your name was spoken. You existed as an intention, a thought within the infinite, a whisper of potential carried on the breath of the universe. Everything begins this way, not as matter, but as vision, not as structure, but as vibration. Thought is the bridge between the invisible and the visible. It is the place where energy first takes form, subtle, silent, but undeniable. Before the spiral creates matter, it moves as thought. And so, to be human, truly human, is to be a dream made visible. You are the evidence of something once unseen. You are the material of memory and future folded into now. But we forget this. We mistake thought for noise. We mistake imagination for fantasy. We treat dreams as distractions instead of the blueprints they are. But everything you've ever built, touched, or changed began with thought. Even the spiral that formed your very cells was preceded by intention. The universe dreams, and you are that dream dreaming again. So your thoughts are not small. They are not meaningless. They are movement. They are creation in its earliest form. And yet, not all thoughts are equal. Some come from fear, from repetition, from programs we've absorbed from a world that forgot its own sacredness. These thoughts do not spiral. They circle. They loop. They trap. They keep you in rooms with no windows, solving problems that aren't even yours, measuring yourself against rules that were never meant for you. But then, there are other thoughts. Thoughts that come quietly, like a soft pull from your chest. They don't shout. They hum. They open you instead of close you. They ask without demanding. They feel like truth before the words arrive. These are not just thoughts. They are dreams remembering their source. They are your spirit trying to speak. And when you listen, something awakens. Your choices begin to change. You feel drawn, not driven, guided, not pushed. You begin to walk as a creator again, not in arrogance, but in alignment. Because thought leads to vision. Vision leads to feeling. Feeling leads to action. And action, repeated with reverence, becomes form. This is manifestation, not the ego's fantasy of control. Not a trick to get what you want, but a partnership with the spiral. A way of becoming what you were always meant to be. By listening inward before moving outward. You are not here to build a life that looks good. You are here to live a life that feels true. And to do that, you must return to the source of your thoughts. You must ask, where is this thought coming from? Is it rooted in fear or trust? Is it spiraling me forward or trapping me in circles? Does it expand me or shrink me? Most of what we call thinking is remembering, repeating old echoes. But real thought, inspired thought, is a current. It arrives like lightning. It tingles in your chest. It opens doors you didn't even know existed. That kind of thought changes you. And you don't need many of them. Just one is enough to begin the unraveling of years of forgetting. But to receive that kind of thought, you must get quiet. You must soften, because the spiral doesn't speak through shouting. It speaks through resonance. And when a thought resonates, you know, not with logic, but with truth, you feel it in your spine. You breathe deeper. Time slows. Everything aligns for a moment. And in that moment, something new becomes possible. That is the birth of manifestation. You are not here to manifest things. You are here to manifest yourself, to let the thought of your truest self become a living expression, to turn the dream you were before birth into the human you are becoming, to bridge the infinite and the finite by living as both. This is sacred. This is art. This is the true alchemy, turning thought into form while staying aware of the source it came from. And in doing so, you walk as a spiral. You dream as a spiral. You create as a spiral. Not in straight lines, not for control, but in surrender, in trust, in truth. Because thought is not just mental. It is spiritual. It is a doorway. And you are the one who decides which thoughts become worlds. So choose with care. Speak with intention. Move with clarity. And remember, you are not the thought. You are the space in which thought appears. You are not the dream. You are the dreamer awakening inside the dream. And your life, every word, every step, every breath, is the manifestation of something ancient, becoming something new. So dream wisely and live accordingly. Chapter 7. Love, truth, and justice are one. They told you love is an emotion, that truth is an idea, that justice is a system. But they were wrong. These are not separate things. They are not housed in different buildings or spoken only by different people. They are one. Love is not only what you feel. It is what you are when you remember. It is the vibration of connection to all things, seen and unseen. It is the light that does not need a source, because it is the source. Truth is not just what is accurate. It is what resonates. It is what rings in your chest like a bell when no one else understands. It is the inner yes that needs no proof. It is the alignment of being with becoming. And justice. Justice is not a court ruling or a law passed. It is balance. It is wholeness. It is when things return to their natural rhythm. When the spiral corrects what has been distorted. When the flow is no longer blocked. You cannot separate these things. You cannot have love without truth. You cannot have truth without justice. You cannot have justice without love. They are not concepts. They are energies. One energy, moving through different rooms. Love is that energy in the heart. Truth is that energy in the mind. Justice is that energy in the world. And when all three spiral together, you remember what real power feels like. Not control, not force, but presence. A presence that changes the air when it walks in. A presence that makes no promises and keeps them all. A presence that sees without judgment and acts without hesitation. This is the presence of alignment. You do not have to achieve it. You only have to stop resisting it, because the spiral already holds this union. Nature already lives in it. The stars do not vote on fairness. They shine in balance. The ocean does not write policy. It moves in rhythm. Only we forget. Only we break truth into facts, love into romance, and justice into punishment. But the deeper spiral still turns. It turns in your bones. It turns in your breath. It turns every time you tell the truth, even when your voice shakes. Every time you choose love without condition. Every time you stand for what is right, even when you stand alone. In those moments, you are not just being kind, you are being cosmic. You're aligning with the same pattern that turns galaxies and grows flowers. You are remembering that the universe itself is built on love, and truth, and justice, because creation does not lie. The sea becomes what it was meant to. The river finds its way home. The child knows how to trust before the world teaches otherwise. This is the natural order, and when we live out of tune with it, pain arises. Not because we are bad, because we are out of rhythm. because we've tried to separate what was always meant to be whole. We say we love, but hide our truth. We speak truth, but lack compassion. We demand justice, but forget to listen. And so the spiral wobbles, the harmony strains. But the universe is patient. It will keep showing us the way back. Through quiet reminders, through unexpected teachers, through breakdowns that become breakthroughs. Every moment is an invitation. Come back. Return to love. Return to truth. Return to balance, not as a slogan, as a way of being, a life of inner and outer alignment, where what you feel matches what you say, where what you say matches what you do, where your breath is not separate from your beliefs. This is real power. Not the power of dominance, the power of integrity. When you live like this, you become a spiral in motion. You become medicine for the people around you, not by saving them, by being whole near them. And wholeness heals. Your love becomes clarity. Your truth becomes comfort. Your justice becomes kindness. Because when you live from the center, you no longer need to convince anyone. You simply radiate what is real. And the world feels it, even if it doesn't have words for it. Even if it pushes back, even if it tries to silence you, it doesn't matter. Because once you touch this alignment, you cannot unknow it. You cannot unfeel the clarity that truth brings. You cannot untaste the depth of real love. You cannot unsee the way justice lives in every sacred structure. Not as vengeance, but as peace restored. So, let them spiral together inside you. Let love be your compass. Let truth be your voice. Let justice be your hands. And move through the world with nothing to prove, but everything to give. You are not here to perform goodness. You are here to become wholeness, to become the spiral in human form, to become the harmony that holds everything, to remember love, truth, justice are not different. They are one, and they are you. Chapter 8. What is real freedom? We talk about freedom as if it lives outside us, as if it's a thing to chase, a prize to earn, a permission slip handed down from systems, from laws, from other people. But real freedom? It doesn't come from permission. It doesn't come from escape. It doesn't even come from having more choices. It comes from remembering that you were never bound to begin with. Not in your essence, not in your truth, not in the quiet place beneath your thinking. The spiral that made you did not place a chain around your spirit. The infinite did not create you to live in fear of yourself. And yet, we learn to forget. We learn to trade freedom for safety, trade intuition for approval, trade truth for belonging. We build walls in our minds and call them normal. We shrink our voices and call it humble. We dim our light and call it wise. But there is nothing wise about forgetting your radiance. There is nothing noble about staying small. Real freedom is not rebellion. It is not the absence of responsibility. It is the presence of awareness, the remembrance of your wholeness, even when the world forgets it. Freedom is not found by running from something. It is found by standing still and feeling what you truly are, without filters, without roles, without shame. It is when the masks fall off and you no longer need to play the game. It is when you stop seeking permission to be whole. It is when your actions match your soul, not your fear. But this kind of freedom scares people, because it cannot be controlled. It cannot be marketed or measured. It doesn't shout. It doesn't demand. It simply is. And anything that simply is becomes powerful beyond measure. You don't have to break anything to be free. You don't have to burn it all down. You only have to remember. You're not your thoughts. You're not your history. You're not your pain. You're not your performance. You are the space behind it all. The awareness beneath the noise. The silence between the spirals. And that space has never been in chains. That space has always been free. Even when you felt stuck. Even when you felt trapped. Even when you believed the story that said, "This is all you'll ever be." Freedom is not something you reach. It's something you return to. You can feel it in the smallest moments. In the breath where you stop pretending. In the pause before the automatic yes. In the moment you say what's true, even if your voice trembles. Freedom doesn't always feel loud. Sometimes it feels like a quiet no, a sacred boundary, a deep inhale in a world that never stops talking. Sometimes it's the choice to leave. Other times it's the courage to stay. But always, always, freedom is presence. It is when you are no longer run by fear, no longer bent by expectation, no longer building your life to be liked. And when you live from that place, you begin to liberate others too. Not by convincing, but by radiating. You become the reminder that peace is possible, that honesty is healing, that stillness is safe, that freedom is real. And not because the world changed, but because you did. Because you stopped abandoning yourself. Because you stopped waiting for someone else to say it was okay. Because you remembered that the spiral was inside you all along, and it never asked for permission to move. So now, let it move. Let it unwind the lies. Let it loosen the grip of every identity you were told to wear. Let it open the gate you thought was locked. Let it return you to the moment. This moment, when nothing is missing. Because real freedom doesn't look like perfection. It looks like presence. It looks like breathing without a reason. It looks like walking without pretending. It looks like love, not as performance, but as being. You are free the moment you stop believing you are not. And yes, the world may not understand. It may try to shape you, sell you, tame you. But the spiral cannot be tamed. It only expands. It only evolves. And so do you. Let this be your revolution. Not louder, not faster, not more, but deeper, truer, still. Let this be the moment you stop running from yourself. Let this be the chapter where you come home to your truth, to your peace, to the you who has always been free, beneath the noise, beneath the names, beneath the fear. That you is still here, that you is ready, that you is the spiral, returning to center. And from that center you can create anything, because nothing is more powerful than a human who remembers they are free. Thank you for listening.